Well, what does taxing the hell out of them mean?
Yeah, I don't have like a solid, but I think.
But shouldn't you?
Another day, another DSA leader humiliating themselves on camera when asked extremely basic questions. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, your home for independent and nonpartisan commentary and analysis on politics, media, internet insanity, and more. And guys, the DSA is having a moment right now. The Democratic Socialists of America, this like leftist organization, we've been through their national platform. It's crazy. They want to open borders, abolish police, abolish prisons, have the government control major corporations, all this nutso stuff. But I have to say the one thing I admire about the DSA is that their people are down for, they are down bad for public humiliation. They're really accountable to the public, and they're very transparent with their beliefs and very open for scrutiny. And I do appreciate that, because a lot of the craziest people in our politics avoid hard interviews like the plague. The DSA runs headfirst into the accountability and then face plants usually. And the latest clip is no exception. So here's the headline from Mediaite. Dem socialist sputters after David Remnick asks simple question on plan to, quote, tax the hell out of millionaires. Maybe the plan is still getting ironed out, the article reads. You would hope so, after DSA co-chair Megan Romer metaphorically stepped on a banana peel and tumbled into a thorny bush when the New Yorker editor, David Remnick, simply asked for more details on the group's plan for taxing the hell out of millionaires. Anyway, I'm about to play you this clip, but it's like genuinely astonishing to me that you could be so ill prepared as the co-chair of a major political organization that has been for weeks now fielding these interview requests to answer basic follow-up questions. This guy was not grilling her. I watched the whole thing. He's like calmly, this New Yorker dude, he's just saying like, so what do you believe about this exactly? What about it's like just calmly asking questions. This wasn't a Piers Morgan grill session with interruptions and answer the question and all this. It's like he literally just asked her basic follow-up questions and she utterly collapsed on camera. Let's watch her just glitch when asked about their plan to tax millionaires. Listen to this.
Do you believe there should be millionaires in this country?
I'm less concerned about millionaires, more concerned about billionaires. I don't have like a hard line where it's where
how
you're
much?
good
What I
or
guess
you're
what I'm
bad.
asking is how much is too much.
Yeah, I think the question is less about how much is too much, and more about what are you doing to keep and maintain and get that wealth in the first.
Okay, I already want to pause here because it's like your entire organization, the extremist group DSA, is organized around the principle of seizing the means of production and confiscating wealth from the affluent and successful, and yet you don't know where the line is. You haven't really thought about what line you're trying to draw. She's like, I don't necessarily have a problem with millionaires. They might get to keep the things they've worked for and earned and invested in my, benevolent dictatorship. It's like, excuse me? Where did you get the audacity to feel so incredibly entitled to other people's money and resources that you think you just get to casually decide who deserves their wealth and who doesn't, and who will have it all taken away by the benevolent leaders of the Democratic Socialists of America? Absolutely not. And by the way, it's just funny because at this point, with inflation and the state of our economy, a lot of people who are millionaires just own a home that they've paid off the mortgage. Like the amount of people who are millionaires, it doesn't mean you're insanely wealthy, right? It doesn't mean that you're like some sort of tycoon with 10 houses. It just means you have, a 7-figure net worth on paper, which if you own a home and have paid it down and it's grown a lot in value, could mostly be just from that. And yet there's such contempt and disregard for any sort of seriousness, and then such bizarre entitlement. You're entitled to nothing. You're not entitled to other people's stuff, to other people's earnings. You're not entitled to decide whose business projects and ventures are worthy and legitimate when within the law, of course, I don't like your business model, so we're going to take all of your stuff. Oh, your business model isn't so bad, so you get to keep half your stuff. I don't know where these people get the nerve, especially, never mind, I won't say that, but I'm not having nice thoughts about this lady at the moment. Anyway, let's keep going. Because she wants to tax the hell out of millionaires. She doesn't even know what that means. Like just watch.
First place. I think most billionaires got their wealth because they exploited the working class in some very significant
Not really,
way, usually.
but okay.
Are we exploiting people is the bigger question, as opposed to some sort of arbitrary red line of you can have this much money or not have that much money. But we do believe in taxing the hell out of millionaires. Yeah, absolutely.
I want to pause on this for a second just to say, like, she's just so quick to dismiss all these billionaires have just exploited people. Which, listen, yes, some people do exploit people, some business owners, some entrepreneurs, but a lot of times people are billionaires because they invented or started or grew a company that created tremendous value for society and millions of other people. You can look at that with like the SpaceX IPO, creating a bunch of millionaires from Elon Musk's staff who'd gotten stock payouts. You can look at just something like Amazon. Obviously, you can find some instances where Jeff Bezos or Amazon didn't have the best labor conditions or what have you, but in order to create the trillions of wealth, or I guess billions, not trillions in his case, he had to create jobs for so many thousands upon thousands of people. He had to provide customers with amazing, affordable products delivered to their door overnight. It's like, this is the exploitation in the room with us. Or obviously it's not perfect and they do some things wrong sometimes. And that's why we have regulations and laws and consumer pushback and media scrutiny of companies and all of that. But on net, he didn't get his money by stealing from other people. And yet the funniest part about that is that what she wants to do is just tax the hell out of everybody and take all their money and spend it however they want on whatever totally, I'm sure, efficient and not at all wasteful government programs they have in mind. But that's not exploiting people. Taking all their stuff through force is not exploitation at all. What's exploitation is when you build a company that people choose to patronize or work for. Got it. You're making total sense, Megan. But let's hear more about her plan to, quote, tax the hell out of millionaires. Surely she would have some specifics, right? You wouldn't go and be the co-chair of a political party and stake out a stance like that and then actually have literally nothing specific in mind. That would be an insane thing to do. Megan Romer would never do that. You thought. Anyway, let's go. Let's keep going.
Absolutely.
Well, what does taxing the hell out of them mean?
Yeah,
Good
you know, I
question.
don't have like a solid, but I think,
But shouldn't you?
Yeah,
I mean,
That's a good-
if you're the
that's a good
co-chair,
question.
if you're the co-chair of the DSA, shouldn't you be more specific than just taxing the hell out of something? What exactly do you mean?
So again, it's democracy, right? And we have to look at what we need to spend and what we need. We don't want to depend on the existence of millionaires because that means people are still getting exploited. So
Does it? How?
So yeah, we need to look at what we need to pay for in the interim, what sort of tax base we need for that to happen, and then and build from there.
Build from there, guys. We got to build from there. Yes, I trust Megan here to build a society and a thriving economy. There's so much to unpack here. Just a little aside about, well, we don't want to depend on millionaires because that means people still are being exploited. Literally, how does it mean that? The fact that, you know, your parents have paid off their home that's now worth $700,000 because they bought it, 30 years ago and it's grown a lot, and they have a retirement savings account, so they're technically millionaires. That them existing means that people are still being exploited. How? I'll wait for the infinite economic wisdom of Megan Romer here to explain this. It's like they don't even pretend to understand anything about economics. It's all just pure class warfare and envy. And then I'm sorry, it is absurd and frankly ridiculous and offensive that you would say you want to tax the hell out of millionaires. And then this guy, David Remnick, who is, I'm sure, very liberal, very progressive. He's with the New Yorker, which is a left-wing magazine, just asks like, hey, so what do you mean by that? Are we talking about a graduated income tax increase? Are we talking about a wealth tax increase? Are you talking about, I don't know, increases in property taxes? Like, that could mean so many things. Like, what do you have in mind? And she has nothing. So you're telling me you have a whole organization dedicated to tax the rich, which we already do, our federal tax system at least, is already disproportionately, vastly funded by affluent people, by the highest earners. And the low, like the bottom half of income earners pay little to no income taxes on net at the federal level. So we already have a pretty progressive federal tax system. There's loopholes we need to close and other issues with it, of course. But then she's like, we're going to tax the hell out of those millionaires. He's like, what does that mean? She's like, democracy. What? Imagine if you're a political candidate or you run, a political organization and you're campaigning on, we need gun control. And they ask you, all right, what do you have in mind? What are your proposals? And you go, I don't, democracy. That's not an answer. And you should actually have thought through and have some specific concrete proposals. Like, I don't know, you could say, we should have a 50% income tax. Okay, I would disagree with that, but we can have that debate. We can have that dialogue. We can have that conversation. She doesn't even have anything because these people are really just vibes based. They are just totally out of touch with any sort of pragmatism or grounding in the real world. And more than anything, I think this DSA movement and rise is partially like a social club. It's like the Revenge of the Rejects or the Island of Misfit Toys or something like that. Really, these people just get sucked into this rabbit hole, and then everyone around them is starts saying comrade and referencing Marx, and that's cool and edgy. So they just go further and further and somehow end up the co-chair of the National Party. Anyway, I want to play you this clip from the interview, and this was shared by Jake Altman on X. He wrote, "Affluent white liberals have been radicalized. This lady is a case in point. She went from watching Jon Stewart, according to her narrative, to being the leader of DSA's Marxist-Leninist caucus, which celebrates terrorism." Here's the clip he is referring to, where Megan here explains her political journey. And buckle up. Let's listen.
You describe yourself as a Jon Stewart liberal. Tell me about your life until 2018. What were you doing? Sure. What was your mindset, and why did it change?
Absolutely true. Got most of my news from Jon Stewart. That was my primary news source. I'd read the Sunday Times and I'd read Jon Stewart, and I did read the New Yorker. And sometimes even for more than the cartoons.
Oh wow, she's so funny and sorry. I'm sure she's like not even necessarily a bad person. She might be sweet, but that she's really pissed me off in this video and in her other interviews as well. But it's like, hang on, you get your news from Jon Stewart, a comedian. And then the Sunday Times and the New Yorker, it's like, sounds like you have a real diversity of perspective and thought you were inculcating yourself with there, Megan. I mean, if I were even to just go through the sources that I consult every single day, I have centrist sources, center-right sources, center-left sources, left sources, right sources. Like I really have a whole spectrum of outlets I check and read every single day when I'm working and preparing to talk about the news and politics. She just was in an echo chamber. And then wait till you hear the story of how she became even more of an extremist. It literally just started with vibes and with like social happy hour. Listen to this.
I appreciate that. But what happened? What turned?
So after Hillary Clinton did not win, and I was supportive of Hillary Clinton. I was not a registered Democrat at that point. I was registered independent. And then she didn't win. And I was horrified. I was baffled. I tried to become involved in the Democratic Party. What I ended up involved in was this like women's club where you'd like have speakers. Like weren't actually making any decisions. You were hearing people talk about a book.
Okay.
And that was all really frustrating because I was like, who's doing anything? What are we pushing anything toward? And a friend who was a folk musician said, we are starting this DSA chapter. You should come to a meeting. And I was like, ugh, the socialists. And I was like, all right, well, I'll come to your meeting because we're friends, but I'm not saying comrade. And I went to the meeting and I was just so relieved they were actually doing something, just anything. They had plans to just do something.
Wow. Well, what a fascinating philosophical and intellectual evolution Megan Romer has gone here. She got brought to a meeting by her folk singer friend, and then she was enamored with the Democratic Socialists of America because they were doing things. Well, clearly they must be right. I mean, that's crazy. That is a wild story to tell. That I was just a totally, casually informed liberal Democrat NPC. Then my folk singer friend brought me to a meeting. The vibes were good. Seemed like they were trying to do stuff, which, by the way, what were they doing? Very recently, the DSA has had some successes, but they weren't exactly setting the world alight in terms of political influence in 2017. But anyway, so then she's like somehow in the years since continued down the radicalization pipeway to the point where she's now the co-chair of an extremist organization. Yeah, this is actually scary. Like what starts out is probably a well-intentioned, lived-out white woman and ends with an extremist who dedicates her life to tearing down the American Constitution and our system of government and our way of life. That is not an exaggeration. That is not hyperbole. That is a direct, like, what they openly say they want to do, all because she went down this pipeline of this, like, social club, I guess. That's terrifying, but not unique. I think she's actually articulating a phenomenon that a lot of young people have probably experienced. And you've probably seen something similar with the alt-right, right? Where young, disaffected men feel spurned or left out or not sufficiently spoken to by the mainstream conversation. Then they find these online echo chambers where people are making these edgy jokes and they're, have the same enemies as them and they're telling them nothing is their problem. And then all of a sudden they're groypers and they, hate Jewish people and they are racist against black people and all this stuff. Yeah, I think this is the liberal white woman to leftist terrorist sympathizer pipeline, and it needs to be studied. But once again, I will shout out Megan Romer and the rest of the DSA for their transparency. It's much appreciated, even though I find it very disturbing. That's my take on this interview. You can probably see why it's going viral and getting so much traction, because it really is remarkable stuff. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you aren't yet, and hit the like button. Reward my suffering through this stupidity for y'all. This is the least you can do, really. The amount of damage of brain cells I'm losing watching this stuff. And do consider becoming a channel member if you want to support an independent and nonpartisan approach to politics and political commentary. It's not the best business model. If you're just crazy and you pander to one side, you might blow up. But I don't do that, so I need support from viewers like you. Do hit the join button and become a channel member if you are able to. And with that, guys, we'll leave it there for this one and be back with more real soon.